Okay, we are going to get started. Thank you so much. First of all, I wanted to welcome you to the Modern Revenue Leaders series. You are in for some wonderful content. This is the third such event we have hosted, and each one is really built on the last. I wanted to, for those of you who maybe missed last month, I wanted to share a few insights that we were able to collect and collectively generate during our last session. So we actually ran an exchange in the last section, and we wanted to dig in on what are some of the key leadership attributes and approaches that our modern revenue leaders are finding the most success with right now. And the number one thought that the group collectively arrived at was it was all about leading with empathy, transparency, and trust, and recognizing that our people really need us to lead them from a very authentic place right now, particularly as we are more distributed in our team organization. The second, given the amount of digital disruption and noise happening around our teams, it was really important for many of our leaders to focus on protecting and valuing our team's time. So helping them to protect their own schedules and also to make sure that all the meetings and the time that we're spending virtually together in this remote world is valuable. And the third one was really interesting, and I think we're going to continue to build on that as we have this discussion today. The third one was having a clear strategy and expectations for performance and to communicate and over-communicate those expectations to make sure that everyone's rowing in the same direction. So I think that this session is going to allow us to really build on some of the insights that we generated in our last session. And I couldn't be more excited to have some amazing speakers with us today and to have a partner in insight with Kel. Kel is the CEO of Cool Kel Marketing. He's been a CFO, COO, and CMO, and he has spent most of his career advising CEOs and helping leaders really maximize their revenues. He's passionate about bringing business thought leaders together. So this is his jam right here, to share insights and co-create. So without further ado, I want to invite Kel to the virtual stage to set the table for this action-packed hour.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm so excited to be here. And when we get rock star leaders, rainmakers like this together, I had to wear my Yoda shirt because I'm all ears. I can't wait to hear what they're gonna say. And, you know, I wanted to start with a story because I want to set the tone, but we all like to listen to stories, but here's a story. You know, I left the largest advertising and marketing company in the world where I was running a sports marketing agency for them because I figured something simple. I generated $250 million for them over a 10-year period of time. Maybe I could do it for myself. I don't need that much, maybe a little bit. And I started Cool Kel Marketing. So I said, you know, I can just leverage some of my relationships and you know what, boom, I have a business. And then March 2020 came and I had to cancel so many live events that I had planned with amazing companies and amazing personalities and celebrities. And I had to really rethink things. But one of the things that I learned during that process was that we're in a relationship business. It doesn't matter if it's a pandemic, a recovery, or what it is. Most people that are doing high-level sales, they got relationships. And when my friends at Thoughtexchange approached me and they said that they wanted to reach out to certain executives and they wanted to build a community, that was right in harmony with my goals, because the reality is that the speakers that you're going to hear from today, they think big, they follow through on their promises, and they're leading huge organizations. True leaders share their success. They don't need to be here. They're here because they believe in contribution, giving back. And it's not just because they're great people. It's because it's good business, okay? When us rainmakers come together and we give value and we share, that's how we're gonna get that next deal. That's why we're here. That's why we created the Modern Revenue Leader. this is where true leaders share their success, because the reality is when it's lonely at the top, and where do leaders like us, where can we go for advice? You could come right here. So I'm so excited. And the beauty about this Modern Revenue Leader series is that we brought individuals that can speak and are asked to keynote speak for a half hour, for an hour. And we're asking them to condense their brilliance into 5 to 7 minutes. It's harder than you think. So the reality here is you're going to hear passion. You're going to hear, maybe they'll be honest enough to share some of their pain with you. And you're going to get best practices that you could take and implement into your business. So you're welcome in advance. We're going to get started with the Modern Revenue Leader series. And we're kicking off with Kim Johnson, who is the Senior VP of Global Enterprise Sales at Lee, Hetch, and Harrison. It's the world-leading HR solutions partner. But listen to this. Kim is not just a sales leader. She's in the game cutting deals. So she has like this legendary focus on product and service. And she's kicking off this event because when we got on the call to talk about this event, we were on a call and she was camera ready. So Kim Johnson, you are a modern revenue leader. We are all ears.
Well, thank you for that introduction, Kel. I hope I live up to the hype. I am so honored and pleased to be here today, to be aside so many very talented leaders in multiple industries, right? Part of what I wanted to get across today in our time together is what does it take to drive performance, especially when everyone is either in a hybrid or remote model? How do you do that? And how do you get the best out of people in today's marketplace that is so dynamic, so volatile, right? How do you get the hearts and minds of your salespeople? And just so you know, not only am I a sales leader, but I'm now an individual contributor. So I've been a sales leader for 15 years and decided in the midst of the pandemic, I don't know what came over me, that I thought I better do something different. My heart wasn't just in leading a team anymore. I felt like I needed to be back in the trenches, refueling myself, re-energizing myself. So I went back into an individual contributor role so I could be closer to the buyer. And as a result of that, I've gained a lot of insights. I've had a lot of challenges. It's not for the faint of heart. I can remember so many times I would tell my salespeople, hey, it's just a matter of, putting in the work, doing these sequences, getting those emails out. Well, there's a lot more to it today. Getting the mind share of a buyer today takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more bringing to the table value. And like you heard Kel mention, it's being able to leverage connections in a thoughtful way that not just has meaning to you, but has meaning to that buyer. And so what I really want to share with you are 4 key kind of table stakes that have helped me not only in driving performance of what I would consider some world-class teams, but also that's helping me today hit the mark and hopefully exceed the mark. So the first one is really all about having a growth mindset. You cannot, in today's environment, be stuck in the old way of doing things. You have to be constantly open to learning, willing to try new things. Honestly, you have to be fearless and a risk taker. And as a result of taking those risks and being fearless, you may fall. But by falling and learning from that failure that occurred, you're going to be better and more effective, more impactful, and really get to the results you're looking for. So the first one is all about growth, going out there and trying new things, and then adapting and being agile enough to know when it's not working, I'm going to tweak it just a little bit and I'm going to try it again. The second table stake that has been critical to my success is really true and authentic. And okay, I'm an African-American woman in a sales leadership role, knocking on doors. I've had to overcome a lot of stuff and some preconceived notions about who I am and what I am capable of. And one of the things I've learned is that if I come to the table with me being my true, whole, authentic self, People are drawn to that. They're connecting to that. They value that. And the more people in selling roles bring their whole self to the table, the more buyers will truly engage and connect with them in a meaningful way. And that's what it's really about. It's about connecting buyers to something that's important and of value to them, but it starts with you. It starts with you making that connection with them. So that second table stake is all about being authentic and true. And that's something that I ask my salespeople to bring to the table as well. We're all different, right? We all have unique skills and abilities. And the more that we bring those to the table in our everyday work, the more connection, the more energy, the more value we're going to have overall. The third thing for me is laughter. I laugh at myself all the time. Some of the stuff that I say, I'm like, did you really just say that? And did you actually get away with it? It's amazing how much by helping your team laugh and find the humor in certain situations. And even I've been in meetings where, you know, it's the most obvious thing in the room, something doesn't seem right, and you bring it up in a humorous way, and it just takes all of that kind of anxiousness and funkiness out of the room, and it recalibrates the energy. So for me, laughter is so important. It's something I do every day and every moment. There's always some crazy thing going on when you're in sales, you know, just random stuff happens. And the more you can laugh about it and not take all of this so seriously, the more you're going to enjoy your job, the more your team's going to enjoy working with you. And what I have found is I have found that my team members would climb a mountain for me because they know I would do it for them. And we've been vulnerable enough together that they have a lot of trust and real commitment towards me, towards the company, and towards our solution. And my final table stake is something I learned early in my career. And it's a way that I give feedback that helps the receiver to actually receive it, right? Nobody, when you say, I'm going to give you some feedback, the first thing you think is, oh God, what is it? Well, this is a way to give feedback that really disarms the individual and allows them the opportunity to take it in. And it's called like, best, and next times. And so what I do is I'll say, hey, that call was great. Here are 3 things I liked best about what you did. And then here are 2 things that I would recommend that you do next time to even amplify your performance, to level it up one more level. And I have found that that has gone a huge way in helping people really be open to receiving feedback. And then also, you know, you're able to do it for yourself. So when I'm not around or they don't have that opportunity to get feedback directly from me, they start to learn how to give feedback to themselves. Let me assess that conversation I just had with that prospect or that client. You know, what could I have done differently? What are my 2 next times? And what did I love about what I did? What did I truly like that I felt like I hit it out of the ballpark? And I want to do more about that. I want to do more of that. So LBs and NTs is what we call them. And those LBs are things I want to repeat. And the NTs are things I want to replace. I want to do something different next time. And I have found people just navigate to that and really accept feedback in a whole different way. So those are 4 kind of table stakes for me, and what I think have helped me to not only get in the game, but play the game really well and be a top performer. And I just want to leave you with one thing that I kind of have in front of my face right now. I have it in front of my face every day. And it's a quote by Maya Angelou. And it's, success is liking yourself, liking what you do, and liking how you do it. And I want all of you to be extremely successful. And always think about this, because if it's not in alignment for you, then you need to regroup and think about what you want to do next. So thank you for your time. And I can't wait to hear all of the other incredible presenters today. Take care, everybody.
Kim, thank you so much. That was, I thought, Kel's hype, you lived up to it. That was amazing. And I have to just recap because I learned a lot just in those last couple minutes. So how do you get the most out of your salespeople in this dynamic remote and hybrid space? Kim's 4 learnings: growth mindset, being your true and authentic self, laughing with your team, laughing at yourself. And then the last one, oh my gosh, I'm going to take this and use this today. Like best and next time. What did I like best about that? And what am I going to do next time to make it even better and do it even differently? So thank you so much for that. You are a modern revenue leader, and I am so excited to have you as part of our group today. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Tamara Adams is the VP of Global Sales, Service, and Marketing at Honeywell Connected Business. Her company provides enterprise software solutions to the commercial, hospitality, healthcare, retail, travel, education, pretty much any industry you can think of. And in her current role, Tamara is focused on transforming the direct sales channel into a world-class sales organization. And she's really increasing their focus on enterprise SaaS-based selling and growing and developing the partner and professional services strategy. So I'm really interested in hearing about this. She joined Honeywell about 2 years ago, following a really impressive career at PerkinElmer, Metadata, and then Oracle, a very long time at Oracle. And she's a globally recognized sales leader who focuses on helping organizations solve their most complex problems. So I know that she did start her most recent role right before the pandemic hit. I was looking at the timing. So I'm going to be sitting on the edge of my seat to hear some of her pearls of wisdom on how she's led through this time of enormous uncertainty and change. So without further ado, Tamara, take the stage, please.
Lauren, thank you so much. Kim's a hard act to follow. I love the passion and the energy. I was really fired up. It was awesome. So yeah, as Lauren mentioned, I started right before the pandemic hit, which we are actually deploying and implementing some brand new software. So Honeywell, when you think of Honeywell, you think of thermostats, you think of filtration systems, you think of maybe aerospace and defense. But really, we are a organization, Honeywell Connected Enterprise, that has really been formed to really transform kind of a industrial sector into a technology sector, and we're really looking to sell software, right? And so if you've read anything about Honeywell in the last probably 2 weeks, you saw that we've moved over into the NASDAQ stock exchange. So really our CEO really believes the fact that we are going to be transformational and really do that digital transformation. And we are going to do a say-do, if you will, and really driving that through greater margin and opportunity through software type sales. And so, yeah, I started right before the pandemic, and then we were deploying these software and technologies, and I was ramping up a brand new team and creating a brand new organization. And then we got a little bit sideswiped by all of these events that have impacted all of us. And so one of the things I wanted to talk a little bit about today is like, how do you take and harness your team and really kind of stay ahead of the competition? We're virtual, right? And so how many webinars are we've all been invited to be sold to? And it's a little bit repetitive, right? And so how do you try to differentiate yourself in the marketplace with a brand new product, very limited install base? And how do you get, I think, that compelling a message across? PowerPoint can be really hard to do, right? And some light demonstrations of the software, but how do you really immerse your client base and your prospect base into kind of what you're trying to convey in your messaging and really kind of level up? And so to stay ahead of kind of the competition and really get our messaging out there, I really believe that we should be demonstrating the software in a new way. And so in a real sense, the pandemic forced me to accelerate the virtual selling model. And it raised some really big concerns and kind of how our clients are kind of facing this face-to-face connections, right? Because that personal connection and things that Kim talked about before are really, I think, important and core to building your relationship and your mindset with your clients, right? And so I had to answer the following question, like, how do I bring that kind of immersive experience to our customer and prospect base? And how can I use this technology knowing that we're still not going to be together for the next 12 to 14 months? And so to answer this question, I really turned to virtual reality. And so my vision was really to kind of walk our clients into a virtual building. Think of it like a video game. So on your laptop, and where we can walk you into the building, I can actually show you the software and how it would interact with you in the building, how to check you in, look at virtual aspects of it. And so kind of walking through a day in the life, if you will, and using the software and different Honeywell technologies and bringing that all together. And so really enhancing kind of, if you will, kind of the CXO experience through virtual reality. And so in this consultative type of approach that we took, we were actually trying to demonstrate how to run your facility from anywhere. So think about kind of how we've all been working remote. Those buildings that we're selling into still have to operate even though there's nobody in them. We still have to maintain security. We have to still maintain kind of fire suppression equipment. We still have to maintain occupant experiences for those that actually have to go back into the building. And we need to be able to kind of run that from anywhere in a kind of a single dashboard or a single pane of glass, if you will. And to make it into the kind of the current environment, we need to really kind of show those owners and occupiers and those executives and think about all the industries that have buildings, hospitality, your airlines, your airports, your retailers. All of those have to be able to run them within the building itself, actually run them remote from your home office or even your coffee shop. And so I would tell you that it's been a journey. And some of the real challenges that we really looked at have been kind of obvious. We didn't anticipate some of the rigor and the journeys that we had to kind of contemplate and to create kind of that virtual reality and that kind of 3D environment. And so we had to think about all the personas that we had to kind of pull forward. But the cool thing that we are actually doing now is it's really resonating well with our clients. And our clients are saying, oh my gosh, you brought me back into my office or back into my building. And we've actually created very custom personas, everything from an airport to a retailer, whether it looks and feels kind of like a Best Buy or a Walmart or a Target, kind of think about your favorite retailer, as well as your traditional kind of office building, whether it could be kind of a banking institution in New York City, or maybe it's a, kind of a technology facility that you would see on kind of on the West Coast out in Silicon Valley. Excuse me. So in order to kind of deliver that whole day in the life experience, we had to kind of step through each one of those elements of that journey. And the feedback has been tremendous. And so our clients are now saying like, look, you've really kind of proven your viability of your product by really kind of connecting my business problem, as well as kind of helping us drive an ROI TCO model, all virtually. So we're still not meeting in person yet, right? And so we had to be able to take every business case possible from the facility leader all the way to kind of the boardroom and the CXO's office. And so those proof points are things that we're really contemplating now as kind of now this virtual reality piece. And so we had to kind of establish an overall thesis, and we kind of had to prove out those KPIs and how to measure really in essence those sales cycles by using a virtual reality concept. And so our thesis is really to kind of take and shorten sales cycles really kind of from 135 days down to kind of 65 days by bringing in the kind of this virtual reality segment. And so we're in the process of right now kind of rolling out that overall kind of KPI and measurement. And then also we're kind of thinking about the overall sales cycle. We're also thinking about, can we start conducting actual pilots using kind of this virtual reality concept and even shrinking those sales cycles as well. And so unless you're a gamer, there's a lot of what I'm talking about that won't be native to kind of all executives and managers that maybe we connect with. But I'm really estimating kind of in this virtual environment that we're in today and some of the technologies that we've had to adopt kind of over this kind of 12 to 14 month journey, we're going to see probably an uptick of about 75% of adoption and customers that actually it really will resonate with. And so far we've seen actually 100% uptick in adoption, which is fantastic. But we estimate at least about 75% of kind of that customer base that we're kind of reaching out to. And so if you kind of think about how we're designing this, it's everything from kind of a cityscape and then kind of zooming into kind of your building and then really kind of navigating to kind of all your kind of customer scenarios that we can potentially identify. And so I don't think we're going to go back to the, kind of the thesis that I've come away from all this is, and some of the solution we're thinking about is, I don't think we're going to go back to the old world of selling anytime soon. I think many companies are thinking about and contemplating this direction. Think about too, if you've got kids that are actually on their way to college and trying to, do some scouting of those colleges, they're having to do a lot of that stuff virtually, right? And those tours are coming increasingly important through virtual reality. So I think we're going to start to see a lot of mainstream adoption, and we're not going to go back to kind of some of the old ways. And, I think this experience is really going to take, really kind of show us, anticipate the customer readiness for this type of experience, like I said, at least upwards of 75%. So I'm super pumped that my team has been really adopting this and transforming kind of how they sell. And I anticipate this is also going to kind of help us, with some of those operating expenses and travel expenses kind of in the future as well. So super pumped that we're kind of heading down this path, but kind of wanted to share with you a little bit about kind of the virtual reality selling aspect of it and how we're really kind of making a true digital transformation here within Honeywell.
Tamara, that was amazing. You're right. Virtual selling requires personal connections, this immersive experience. I love your numbers. How 75% uptick in adoption? I like that number. It seems like you shortened the sales cycle with this whole VR experience, and it doesn't sound like you're going back to the old way of selling. I'm so excited that you're here with us. And I wanted to also let you know that in September, we're bringing together all the modern revenue leaders from all of our events together. And I think that might be another opportunity for you to speak to some folks. So happy to have you here. You're a modern revenue leader, and thank you for sharing your success.
Happy to be here.
All right, perfect. So now I would like to introduce Sandra Richards. She's at Morgan Stanley, and she has many roles. She's a managing director, head of global sports and entertainment, head of segment sales and engagement. Yes, anytime Morgan Stanley needs to get something done, they call Sandra. And I'm so happy to call Sandra my friend. I mean, when I switched companies, she stayed with me, and I don't know, we just got that personal connection. But her time is so valuable, and I'm so happy that she's here. And the fact is, this event is going kind of great, and I'm looking forward to it continuing. And Sandra Richards, you are a modern revenue leader, and you have our attention.
So first of all, Kelvin, thank you so much. And by the way you were talking, I thought I should also get a car. The way you were coming out there like Oprah, you are a modern revenue leader and you get a car. So that's exactly what I was expecting. So maybe not a car, but I do love Haagen-Dazs ice cream. If you want to send me some of that and have it delivered, small, it's less expensive than a car. So first of all, thank you so much. Really appreciate your friendship and partnership going back a number of years in what we've been doing. And you've been with me when I was doing very little in small roles that Morgan Stanley has elevated and grown and kept the relationship. And you've been very supportive of that. So I just want to thank you and introducing me to this group as well. I didn't even realize I was coming on. I had to quickly put my earbuds on because I was taking notes of everybody else. So I had to drop my pen. I was like, oh shoot, he's saying my name. So, you know, while quite busy, one of the things that I've certainly learned in this space is the continuous learning. So my pen and my notebook was up, and you know, I have actually notes to share that I was actually really taking notes from everybody else speaking. That's what I found in this space for us. And so what I do at Morgan Stanley in our wealth management business is, yes, run our global sports and entertainment practice that was started in 2014. It's 190 financial advisors around the country that are designated to focus on sports and entertainment clients. And that is defined way beyond just the athletes or the entertainers that are in front of your camera, but those behind the scenes, the executives, social media stars, YouTube stars, and the like. And I do also the segment sales, which is effectively focusing on engaging the diverse and multicultural markets. And so the hybrid of the two has been really great, especially in the last couple of months of marrying the two of those focuses together to try to elevate what we bring, not only for our financial advisors to bear for resources, but also what we do for our clients. The one thing that I, you know, in this time with the virtual selling, the first thing that we did was certainly just check in with our team and just taking a pulse of how everyone was doing. We wanted to make sure that, you know, the mindset was right before we started going out and saying, okay, we want to quickly pivot and go, but just to check in to see how everyone was doing and how everyone was faring, you know, between family standpoint and also just, you know, business standpoint before we dived in and pivot and start coming out the gate with all of this stuff if they weren't ready for it. And thank goodness, you know, knock on wood, many of them were certainly okay and fine and ready to move forward. So that was one of the things that we wanted to make sure that people were in a good headspace for where we wanted to go to next. So we quickly pivoted and realized that one, time was going to be an asset for us. Because before, Kelvin, as you know said, being very busy, and I'm quite sure everybody on on this Zoom has been extremely busy pre-pandemic, but I never really had time. I was constantly on a plane, in my car, driving to the city, on doing phone calls. I don't like taking the train, so I was always stuck in traffic trying to get somewhere, and so was very busy. So in this time again, putting aside of what has this pandemic has bared, but on the blessing side was time became an asset. And I figured out how to navigate the time a little bit more. And marrying the time with technology became much more scalable for us. So we were able to do a lot of the events that we were doing in person, and leverage them to scale and reach a lot of people, because of course I'm based in New York. A lot of our stuff happened in New York, but I have national responsibility. So it's hard for us to do, bring an event with Mary J. Blige to Idaho. Probably not going to happen. But we were able to do it with technology and this time and scale. So everybody felt they were on the same playing field, because they were all, viewing this from the same technology standpoint. So that was one of the things that we did, was looking at what we were already doing well and what was working, and does it translate? And it certainly did. And so we took a lot of that stuff and translated a lot of our client events. We didn't do, for us, in my role, certainly there's the products and services that we offer, but more of the stuff that we focus on, especially in this space, is what are our clients needing? What are they asking for? And it was more so a lot of holistic things that we were looking at for our clients, like, navigating your time, managing remote work environment, offering them the things that would help them live their best life in the current environment they were in. So not looking at, let us talk to you about this next ETF and all this other stuff. It wasn't that. It was more so like, what's the health benefits of tea and drinking tea? And that was probably one of our best events, is that we actually had a tea sommelier come in or virtually and demonstrate how you actually make tea. I didn't know I was burning my tea bags. Apparently I was. And sometimes that's why my tea was tasting bitter, but now I learned how to do my tea and what the health benefits of tea was. And those were the things that we were doing, like, what else do our clients need? Learning how to meditate. We did that session online. We actually had a great event where we talked to Jill Scott with our annual Go Red breakfast, which we ended up doing virtually. Again, learning so many nuggets from these people that typically we would only be able to hold, 200 people in a room. But when we were able to scale, we were able to meet 2,000-3,000 people at a time for these kinds of things. So this kind of worked. And as the previous speaker said, I think this is not going away, certainly not for me. It's going to be hard for me to be on a plane. So if anybody want to take my frequent flyer miles, I'm happy to donate them to a charity, because I will still probably be sitting right here at this, don't tell nobody, sitting on this chair looking through Zoom. But the one thing that I think that has been extremely important for us in getting our advisors, especially over this kind of medium, is how do you tell your story better? And how do you keep people interactive and engaged in this environment? And especially if we move from telephone to Zoom to all this other technology, how are you engaging? And there's two books that in particular that I will share with you. But what we did was make sure that we engaged our advisors on things on how do you stay connected to your clients via social media, and how do you leverage content to keep yourself relevant in this space, because you're not getting to see them as much, but everybody is certainly on social media doing a lot more than they were. How are you leveraging that space? And then the biggest thing for us is, again, how do you tell your story? And how do you tell your story that is captivating and getting people to convert, whether it's your clients to get you more business, or people that have been sitting on the fence for a long time and you haven't been able to convert them? What is the story that you're telling them in this environment? And there was two books that I will share with you, and I'll wrap up in a second, on storytelling that I think is pretty fascinating. And one of them, we actually had a Zoom call, and I had to cut it off because of the Q&A was going so very long. One of them, her name is Kendra Hall, and she has a book out called Stories That Stick, how storytelling can captivate customers, influence audience, and transform your business. Very insightful book. She's pretty dynamic herself, but how telling the stories get people to, and the elements of telling the story, and getting yourself out of the mind frame that you're bragging about yourself or you're talking too much, and really getting the point across, and not about you, but what's the story that's going to connect with who you're trying to get to convert to do anything, or influence to do anything. And the other one is unleashing the power of storytelling. Win hearts, change minds, and get results, by Rob Bezenbach. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but I'm gonna find him to do an event with him too. But I think, again, the art of storytelling, whatever business that you're in, is how are you positioning your story to get people to convert and influence them to move to action. And that's all of what we're doing. Everything that we're building, from our virtual events to our learning series for internally for our advisors, that is what we're trying to get them to do, is to tell the story better. And it's not the Morgan Stanley story. The Morgan Stanley story is there, but you're in the brand. What is it about that the brand that you can take that is applicable to you that you're going to extend to that person? And so that's what we've been really focused on, and really excited about that, and really happy to be here. And then I certainly will be taking notes on the other speaker. And Kelvin, just a reminder, is Haagen-Dazs vanilla Swiss almond. And I like the crunchies in the middle, like the cookie crunchies. You can add them a layer and then put them more. And if you want to put a scoop of brownie a la mode in there, they got a little bit of alcohol, but you can put that in there too. And then I'll be fine. So thanks for having me.
Sandra, thank you so much. And I think you should hold Kelvin to the car. That's my thought. I'm just saying, I mean, but Haagen-Dazs, if not, we'll take a note of that. That was phenomenal. I was at the edge of my seat, and I could probably spend another 5 minutes just recapping everything. But the two things that really stuck out for me is, and when we started our year, we talked about how we were going to turn adversity into advantage. And you just gave us a roadmap of that. And this idea of marrying time with technology to scale your opportunities, it is a phenomenal framework. And I can see how it applies to your business, but I can see how it would apply to a lot of the people who are participating in this event. And then the second piece around how to tell your story better. I mean, my gosh, I think we have all had that experience, and it was amazing to hear about some of the ways in which you and Morgan Stanley have been doing that. So thank you so much for all of those amazing insights, and thank you for being here with us today. I think we're going to I'm digesting all this great insight. So what I'd love to do is use this opportunity to take 4 minutes, really 4 minutes, to pull the entire group together into a discussion. So very quickly, we are going to leverage the Thoughtexchange platform to have a discussion on a pivotal question that I think many of us in the group would like to get a collective answer to. So at this moment, everybody please pull out your cell phones, and you can use the QR code here on the screen to get to the Thoughtexchange. I'd like everyone to participate, because that is the value of bringing us together during this time. And specifically what you're going to do is you can either use your QR code, or if you are not comfortable with that, we will drop the link into the chat. You can just click on the chat. There's 3 steps in an exchange. So first, share, where you get to share your thoughts independently and anonymously. The star step is where you get to rate the thoughts of others. And then the last part is we'll get to discover what's most important to the group. And every single time I do this and we do this, we learn something. So once you're in the Thoughtexchange browser, you'll be asked to answer just a couple quick questions, and then you can jump in and start sharing. When you're finished sharing, you're going to move to the star step to rate the thoughts on a 1 to 5 scale based on how much you agree with them or how strongly the comment or thought resonates with you. And in real time, we'll actually get to see the ideas, and it really will take us 4 minutes because we are trying to stay on schedule. So I will give everyone a chance to jump in to the exchange. Let's refresh that browser real quick. There we go. Thank you. So, and I will transition you. I'll give you a warning when it's time to go and start rating those thoughts, but take a moment, think about what are the challenges you are encountering with remote hybrid work that you would like to share with the leadership of your company, your specific company, and why is it important? That's the pivotal question that we'd love to get everybody's thoughts on. And if you're sitting on the sidelines of the exchange, I'll just encourage you, please jump in there, because we want to hear from everybody. That's where we get to the really reallys, as I like to call them. Great. If you have not put a thought in, please start finishing up that thought or two, and then move on to the ratings. And the good news is, in addition to us having a little bit of time perhaps at the end to take a look at some of these results, but you're seeing them come in right now, we will share this with everybody who was part of this event in a consolidated manner so that you can really see what the group surfaced. Okay, there's about 1 more minute. So our goal is to always try to rate, given the size of this group, perhaps maybe 10, 15 different thoughts, just so we can really make sure that the data is surfacing the most important ideas. Okay, we could probably spend an hour going through all this, but I do want to make sure we have ample time for our last two amazing speakers. I'll highlight just a couple things. This first one really got a lot of energy behind it. At times, it's challenging to feel connected to all of the fragmented conversation. Knowing what's working so that I can iterate and accelerate is really important. That's just gold right there. And, you know, again, as you can imagine, we tend to love using Thoughtexchange for everything, but the ability to pull together conversations that are typically fragmented is really where we see, you know, platforms like Thoughtexchange working well. So as I mentioned, I want to move on to our final two speakers, and we will share this with you in the follow-up to this event, and you will get all the data, because I think a lot of us will be able to apply this both to our own day-to-day and hopefully share it with our organizations. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Darlene Pasquill. She is the head of the equity division at Mizuho. And Mizuho, for anyone who's not familiar, is one of the largest financial institutions in the world. And Mizuho is really focused on transitioning to that next generation of financial services. So building a new type of partnership with customers so they can respond to their needs as times change. And times have surely changed right now. Darlene is commercially minded, financial market savvy, and she focuses on driving profits via top line growth. She spent her career building deep expertise, not just at Mizuho, but at Credit Suisse, DLJ, Donaldson, Lufkin, and Jenrette, which is a blast from the past for me. And as a leader, Darlene really leans into form a deep understanding of clients' operations, and she's partnered to position hundreds of companies for IPO. So when I was reading her background, I thought she's a Renaissance executive. She's got broad experience across sales management, product marketing, business integration, and pretty much across every sector you can imagine. So please join me in welcoming Darlene to the virtual stage to share her unique perspective on being a modern revenue leader. Welcome, Darlene.
Thank you, Lauren, and thank you, Kelvin. I'm honored to be here with a great panel, fellow panelists. So similar to Sandra, I take a lot of notes and I've gotten a lot of great tips here. So I thank everybody. So who am I? Lauren, you did a great job given my background, but I would highlight that while I'm currently running the equity division of Mizuho, it is a big global bank, but it's super entrepreneurial as I think about the role that I'm in now. To grow, I've had to add lots of hires this year on the revenue producer side. And also add a lot of new products. So it's been super fun. You mentioned I have worked at Billion Plus. I ran an equity division for Billion Plus, another financial services institution. But also I've worked in industrial sales at Owens Corning Fiberglass, where I was selling to auto and marine manufacturers. I also had the privilege after business school of working in medical device sales, selling to hospitals and doctors. So I've had a lot of sales successes along the way and grew up in my career in sales and sales management and also account relationship management. I grew up in a small town not far from Cape Cod. Importantly, my family's in the commercial fishing industry, far away from sales and sales management. But I would highlight that most of my life I've thought about, Sandra mentioned some great books for us to read, which I will read. I've thought about, great self-help books, reading Norman Vincent Peale's Power of Positive Thinking over and over and over. And I've read Tony Robbins early on in when I was in my teens. So importantly, I'm a big believer in self-help and learning from others. So I want to thank you for having me. So in 2020, we did achieve record revenue growth. As I mentioned, I think I hired 27 people remotely, and it's hard to get people remotely when you think about trying to make sure they're fitting in with your culture, and also expanded our product offering, right, to grow the revenue. So as I think about how to really get exponential revenue growth, I'm looking at the lens of financial services. That means selling, long-term client relationships, similar to what Sandra does. And it also is about how do you sell to institutions, bottoms up and also tops down. So as I think about it, there's two key factors I think about every day. One is the need to hire difference makers, right? So for me to be successful in a super competitive environment as I'm in, I'm competing with many earlier established institutions every day. I need to hire difference makers. And I heard from Kim mention, you need people with a growth mindset. I need people who have a growth mindset and like to change. I need people who are positive thinkers. I start with who's passionate about clients. That is the most important thing I need. Are you passionate about clients? Are you a positive thinker? Do you own the performance? Now, I say this a lot, like you need to own it. It's not that you can't blame anything on the institution or anybody else. You have to own your success or not. And I also think a lot about, are you enthusiastic or not? Because, people do business with who they trust and like. And, Sandra mentioned storytelling to be able to establish rapport without bragging about yourself. It is really important that you hire the right person. So for me, it all starts with hiring difference makers. And as I think about hiring 27 people remotely, right? I was doing lots of Zoom meetings. I did meet a couple of people with masks on in the city. I am in New York City. I have been in the office in and out, but I do have most of the team. 90% of the people are still working from home. So number one, to really grow revenues, you need definitely to hire only difference makers that own their success, that are passionate about clients and that are enthusiastic. And then the second thing I think about is, I need to make sure all those on the team have the energy and drive to be able to prepare to win. And when I say that, I mean, I need them to be humble and to ask others for advice, similar to me, I like to take notes, and I'll go back to my notes and think about, what are the best practices I learned from others? How can I do that differently or do more? And I only try to hire talent that will prepare. And I tell people every day, you need to earn the business. It doesn't come just by showing up. You need to earn it. And to earn it, you need to prepare. If you help the clients do better and help them make money, they will do business with you. So I ask our teams in sales to know the org charts, know the organization, top to bottom, bottom to top, and also to make sure that they are solutions oriented. They know what the best is about us and what we have to offer, and match that up with what the client's needs are. And as you know, 101 of sales is listening every day and being able to put that together. So hiring only difference makers, and also making sure people earn the business and prepare, that's critically important to me as I think about hiring and competing in a super, super competitive industry, and also being super entrepreneurial. I tell everybody when I hire them, listen, I only want positive thinkers who are super entrepreneurial, who want to grow with us. And I'm proud of the way we have adapted this year to the hybrid remote working. How did we do it? And I think I've heard some other people talk about ways that they have people connect. It's all about how do you engage people and how do you connect them? So I would say it starts with the caring for employees and the empathy that Lauren brought up earlier. So I think that we have erred on the side of extreme flexibility for employees, many who are, struggling with, work from home with children at home. Some had health issues, lack of daycare, educating your kids at home. So we have erred on the side of being extremely flexible. To try to address it, we did do a lot of remote video presentations. We, similar to what I heard on this webcast, have done wellness speakers around sleep, around nutrition, around career. So it's about investing in the employees. We did something called Operation Connect, where we ask employees, and I still remind them, to call 5 people during the week that they haven't spoken to. We've been remote in this environment for 14, 15 months. So how do you think about calling 5 people you haven't talked to? Because time goes by so fast and people are super busy. So, investing in the employees, wellness speakers, Operation Connect. And then the things that I've done from a divisional standpoint is, we start out the day at 7:15 or 7:20 with a video, a Zoom meeting with all of the employees in the division. I like them to see me, even if I'm not talking. It's important that they see me and that you can get a sense for who's engaged and who's not as well. So we do that. I do, even running the division, I do sales meetings 3 times a week where I can hear, we go around the horn, and I have salespeople say what's working, what's not working, what they need. So I can actually hear what's happening in the field. And then you hear who you hear from and who you don't. So you can get a sense for who is really engaged or not. I also think it's important. We've done, similar to others, Zoom meetings, and I've done Zoom wine tasting. So Sandra, I think, talked about, I'm going to take her tip about the tea specialist. I can't tell you how many wine tastings with the person who is the wine connoisseur. I've done it both with clients, but also internally, right? I've hired so many new people. They don't know other people. And to really know your organization, you need to know the other people. So I've done wine tastings with all the new employees many times. I've done wine tastings with clients. And then the other thing that I'm probably most proud of, we've done town halls. So I do a town hall on the division every month. Our CEO does town halls every 2 weeks. But I also would say the thing I'm most proud of is I established something I called leadership series of speakers. So I had Jim Craig, who was the 1980 Olympic goalie. He's a personal friend. I had him speak about what it takes to be successful, anything I could do to motivate the teams who've been sitting at home. And it's been challenging. And then I also had Kelly Amante Hiller, who is the Northwestern women's lacrosse team. She won 7 championships. She's in contention again this year. I had her speak and others. So I think about a leadership series to motivate people and bring everybody together. And then lastly, I am making one-on-one calls. So I will do, not scheduled spontaneous calls to sales or traders or anyone across the division, so they know I'm thinking about them. And I think someone brought it up earlier. I work for the people. They don't work for me. I have to hire talent. Talent has so many other opportunities right now. And if you're in a remote environment, you never know where your people could be doing or spending their time. And if they don't feel like you're focused on them, I think it's more challenging, and you could risk losing employees and having turnover. It's such a tough time to attract talent. That's the last thing you want. So that's my thoughts on how we've adapted. Thank you again. I appreciate the opportunity to learn from others today.
Amazing, amazing. Darlene, I love how you lead your team and how you put together difference makers with energy and drive. But it sounds like you encourage humility within your organization, where people could could be a rock star, but you got to be willing to change and earn the business through preparation and be entrepreneurial. Listen, we need to make this money together. So thank you so much, Darlene. You're a modern revenue leader, and we were so happy to have you share your success. And now we're gonna round off our session with Lee Bienstock. He's the global head of enterprise partnerships for Google devices and services. And listen to this, Google trusts him for strategic initiatives and new product offerings. When Google trusts you for strategy and new product offering, you know this guy's a modern revenue leader, and he definitely has our attention. Lee Bienstock, let's go.
Awesome, Kelvin. Thank you. And thank you for having me, Kelvin. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Thoughtexchange. It's really great to be here. And I've really enjoyed all the great stories and lessons that have been shared so far. So thank you very much. I would say, this past year and a half has been pretty challenging and a pretty interesting year. And so, Kelvin, when you asked, what have you been doing? What have your teams been doing to kind of take these challenges? I thought I'd share 3 lessons and 3 challenges that we've been able to turn into opportunities. And I think you're going to see us leverage these ideas and these activities from here on out. I mean, this is here to stay, right? So the first off is, when it comes to being effective, when it comes to achieving great sales, we're number one, always supremely focused on building great products that our users will love. Because at the end of the day, if we do that, sales will come. I in my career have been the most amazing salesperson, and I've also been possibly the worst salesperson. And when I look at why you see such a dichotomy, such a difference, frankly, a lot of it comes down to the product itself. When the product is incredible and when it tells a story and it gives a magical user experience, I think that makes our lives easier. And naturally, those products will sell well. But this year has been challenging because typically when we have that opportunity to share ideas amongst our teams, we call it casual collisions of ideas, right? That's why we invest so much in the micro kitchens and the cafes and the gyms. We love when our folks come together, share ideas. We do what's called dog fooding the product. We try it out ourselves before we release it to the market, and then we share feedback and bugs and how we can make the products better. That's been tough this year, right? And so, we had to really think about how do we come together and build amazing products that we think are going to thrive. And I would say some of the ways that we've been able to counteract some of those casual collisions that we were having in our office, how we do that remotely, is we've been having folks do a lot more rotations. So spending time deliberately, 20% of your time, maybe 100% of your time for a set number of months with other teams. And so really fostering that exchange of ideas throughout the company. And in the past, perhaps I would do a rotation with another team in New York, or someone on my team would do another rotation if they were in Mountain View with a team in Mountain View. We've sort of broken that mold, because now you could do a rotation with any team, anywhere, anytime, any place. And so while we don't have those casual collisions in the morning by the coffee maker, we are having it in those rotations and having the ability to do more with more teams, more geographically dispersed. So I think you'll see us do a lot more of that. My teams are going to look to do a lot more of that in the future. I think the second thing is, and a lot of people touched on this, it's been tough this year not being there in person with our partners and with our clients, right? We can't go to conferences the way we used to, and sort of that in-person interaction, Kelvin, you touched on it in terms of the relationships, that's so crucial. And I would say that's been a challenge. But at the same time, whereas we at Google were always accustomed to doing video conferences, we've been doing that since day one when I started at Google 10 years ago. But we always had conversations with our partners and clients, for the most part, over old school conference call line. And now we've seen just a widespread adoption of video calls. And now, instead of having conference calls and having voice calls only with our partners and clients, I get a chance to see them in video every day, every week, every month. And so that has been a huge win, I think, in terms of this new world where now everybody has video conferencing and we get to see our partners. We just did a partnership with a great company out in EMEA. And maybe in the past, I would have gone to visit them once, twice in person, right? Now I see them on video. I get that interaction every week in our standing calls, whereas maybe we would have only been doing it over old school voice conference. So I think that has been a huge plus. And I think maybe it was alluded to, save on the frequent flyer miles. We'll see. I mean, I still think there's going to be travel. I still think we're going to want to see people in person. But I do think there's going to be a nice bridge between in person, but also the face-to-face that you'll see. And we're investing in some amazing technology that'll make it feel more and more real, more and more like a 3D experience of being in the room with the same person at the same time, even though you may be, over. So I think you're going to see us doubling and tripling down on that. And then I would say, and I think one of the speakers alluded to it too, number 3 is we've always enjoyed and loved doing product demos when we're looking to do partnerships, when we're looking to sell other companies and our vision and what we're trying to do. Very often it would start with us bringing the product in a room and letting our partners and our clients use it, feel it, and touch it. We would demonstrate it for them. We would do the whole kind of experience. And it's really hard to demo a product and get the experience over video. And one of the things we started doing was, frankly, is we just shipped the actual products to people's homes. And essentially, frankly, that has been more magical, is for somebody to experience and demo and try the product in their homes as the way it was intended. Right? They can put this speaker in their daughter's room. They can put the thermostat in their home. They can try, Google Classroom, Chromebook, with their families. They can try YouTube TV and the new Chromecast on their TVs in their living rooms, the way it was intended to be. And the experience goes on and on and on. So I think you'll still see us do product demos, but frankly, getting the product and getting the service and getting whatever it is that you are building and creating into the world, and less so on a demo while you're in a conference room, we'll still do that. But how do they get those people to experience these great products in their homes, in the way it was intended, in their everyday lives, whether it be in their cars, in their homes, in their offices, and really bring that experience to life. I think you'll see us continue, and I certainly know my teams will continue to send those products to people's homes and to let them really immerse themselves in it versus just a short demo, in a conference room. So I think that's the way we've adapted. I think we're going to take a lot of those great ideas and extend them. I don't think you'll see us sunset those ideas because I think they've been working incredibly well, and I think they'll serve us well, moving forward. So that's just some of the things we've done. I think number 1, really making sure that we can get as many ideas to the table to build great products. So that's number 1. Number 2, I think the video conference can help put yourself face to face, not just voice to voice, but face to face. And number 3, I think getting those product demos to be more immersive in the natural environment the products were intended to be used, I think is something we're absolutely going to do, moving forward. So thanks again. Really, really enjoyed it. Hope that was helpful, and looking forward to continuing the conversation.
Lee, thank you so much. Those were, you did a great job just recapping the ideas that you just shared. And I would say the overarching theme I saw was turning that challenge into an opportunity and into innovation. And I really loved the insight you shared around how for some of your clients and partners, you see them more now. That's amazing. And that's exactly where, you're taking something that's an obstacle and turning it into an advantage for Google. And I think a lot of folks who are finding success right now are doing just that. So thank you for that insight. And I just loved the conversation around casual collision of ideas. It brought a great picture to my head, and appreciate everything that you and your organization are doing to find ways to do that in this new world. So with that, I want to thank all of our amazing modern revenue leaders. This has been, I have to say, I feel like it's been the best yet. This is amazing. The insights, the thinking, the sharing have been nothing short of phenomenal. And I am absolutely appreciative to everybody who shared of their time and thinking and ideas today. This is the end of our event. I'm so happy that everyone was able to join us, and we look forward to sharing out these insights and the insights from the exchange, because I think what we'll see is a lot of integration that would allow us to come up with even bigger and better solutions for our organization. So with that, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day and join us next time.